Members of the audience may address the board of directors on any matter within the general subject matter jurisdiction of LAVTA board of directors. Unless members of the audience submit a speakerphone before the start of the meeting, requesting to address the board on specific items on the agenda. All comments must be made during the item of the business. Public comments should not exceed 3 minutes. Do we have any members of the public that are listening to speak?
We don't.
Okay. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. Items A and B. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second, please take. Or vote.
Vice Chair Brady.
Aye.
Dr. Brown. Aye. Dr. Howard is still absent. Dr. Josie. Aye. Dr. Kick. Aye. Dr. Testa.
Aye.
And Chair Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wheels in motion, proposed scenario and associated service changes.
Good afternoon, board members. Thank you, Chair Hernandez. This is an exciting staff report today. We are asking for the board's approval on the recommendations for the Wheels in Motion proposed scenario and associated service changes. Just very briefly, by way of background, BART announced it was modifying its train schedules effective September 11th. We chose to make lemonade out of lemons and decided to check in with our community, which we haven't done in 6 or 7 years, better understand the priorities and requests of those who ride our buses and for those who would like to ride our buses. We did a survey in September, and we heard loud and clear that a bus service scenario that better aligned with the BART system and provided more coverage in areas throughout the Tri-Valley that currently don't have bus service was preferred. We set a public hearing, the board set a public hearing for December 4th. We held our public hearing. So we have satisfied all of the requirements for our major service change. We did, while we are not required to do an in-depth Title VI analysis, not yet anyway, not until we get a little bigger with our bus service. We did look at equity and did try to take that into account in our service plan. We believe that the new scenario does not burden low income or minority populations. And we believe that with the restoration of bus service in areas that currently are without service, in addition to the enhanced weekend service, we will see more ridership. Once approved, staff will file a notice of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act on the basis that the service change being recommended are categorically exempt under CEQA guidelines. And with that, we recommend the board approve the Wheels in Motion proposed scenario as detailed in your first resolution of the new year. And you have several items in your packet. You have the detailed service plan. You also have the ways in which the public hearing was noticed. You also have the 9 official comments that we did receive during our official comment period, as well as your resolution. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Any question, Go ahead. Is there an email, if somebody wants to reach out to the board, like a city used to have one email, then, I mean, other than, I guess, I know we have our images, our photos. Is there an email there? Because I don't get any feedback from any emails. Not that
we linked to your city council email address, I believe, on all the board member pages.
I know I get emails from you, but I don't get emails from the public. So I'm just kind of curious why that is, if they don't feel they can reach out to us on the board, or it's extremely rare. It had for many years. We have others as well the same way. Do you guys get emails from residents about Wheels?
Yeah, yes, every now and then, but not too many. I mean, we don't get our ACDC. I don't really think we get them.
Yeah, on many boards, but this one, since we had a great route change and you're requesting feedback. Okay, it didn't seem like people were very concerned.
That's like my takeaway. I think this is an appropriate service change. I think people were generally happy with it. We'll never know. We'll know when we implement, but we're not cutting any service.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just adjusting the frequency to really align with BART. So I'm really excited for this. I think it will be well received by our community.
But I like the suggestion to have a group email address that goes to all of the board. So that if somebody wanted to email the board, click here.
Not the board,
And it would, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Way to increase communication with residents.
Okay.
Okay, I just had a couple of quick questions about the feedback we did receive, and just if you could address it, since this is our public forum for it. So a number of people asked for different routes, but about having expanded or more weekend service. Can you explain why we chose not to do that?
Sure, we are just constrained with our resources. We're constrained with buses and we are constrained with hours. And so I think absolutely we recognize that, 40-minute service is not great frequency for the weekend. And I think as we grow our service, as we see more revenues potentially coming in, and as we get more buses with our next bus order, we can look at some of those service enhancements. But I will point out that, we are greatly improving the 30, which is at 60 minutes today on the weekends. It will be going to, I think, between 20 and 40 minutes, and the 10 will be going to 20 minutes. So your 10 will be at 20-minute service 7 days a week. And I think that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think we're doing a great job, and I imagine if we suddenly see a surge of demand, we will make adjustments as needed for.
This is not one and done. The regular service planning process will continue. We will look at productivity, we'll look at comments and complaints. It's all a balancing act. And some changes we may make that don't require a public hearing, and some may. So we'll just, we'll keep you informed as the new network rolls out.
Okay, and then there was a specific question about Route 18, about going through downtown and about going to downtown Buchanan. I think, my understanding is it goes pretty close to downtown.
Yeah.
And I would assume we wouldn't want a bus going through downtown.
No.
So I think that addresses that.
Yeah.
And then as far as going all the way to Buchanan, have we looked at that as a possibility or?
I have not circled up with our service planner on that. I'll talk to him after this meeting and see if it would be within our authority to make little adjustments to the route. We're also working with each of the cities, Livermore and Dublin, on bus stop locations. And so that's another layer of this as well.
Okay, just wanted to follow up on the public comments, make sure there's a record for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So I want to go back to the emails, because I'm assuming every now and then we do get some concern questions. I get them through at my mayor, but they think the city runs the bus system, so that's why I get the emails. And then we'll, whether pass them on to you or Michael Tree back in the day and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Tamara has helped me with a few. So I'm assuming we're answering the ones that do come in.
Oh, absolutely, and we're noticing them. You got an email from Stephen Dunbar at the public hearing. I think he sent the email to everyone, and that became part of the.
I mean, I had Michael send it out to us.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we could have a contact LAVTA board members and just have people just have that link to your city or your respective, because I don't think anyone wants a LAVTA.org.
No.
I don't think that would be hard to do.
No.
And if we could have a email all the board members button, we probably want to put that on blind copy,
Yeah.
right?
you have
So
to
to avoid the Brown Act.
Exactly.
So let me work with our.
Because we can go look at our site, ours would be on Dublin, you go and hit it and it says email all board members,
Okay.
all council.
Right.
Or then each one of them each member has underneath their
Right.
picture has their email address. Okay. But I'm assuming that, like, I saw Michael shaking his head, but that's usually riders or residents that live in that city are going to reach out to, they're going to reach out to myself, or we're going to reach out to them.
Right.
Just because it's the normal thing for people to think of doing.
And they can do that one way, it's just, we don't want to have it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I want you to,
If we can.
before we start doing that, I wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page.
Yeah,
Be
that's
conscientious about it.
Right.
Okay,
We can make it so it's sending it as a
Send-
PCC.
Yep.
Right.
yeah.
And linking to your existing email.
Yes.
The supplement, one has to go, at least for us, when we have that, one goes to staff. So
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
then
Okay.
you go, then you can
Okay.
respond,
Okay.
we're addressing this issue, or here's the answer to your question, and we can just follow that. Otherwise, you have 5 people going, hey, Christie.
Absolutely. That's a great suggestion.
But what I, it's just protocol, like what I do is I always send my city manager, depending on which department it's in. So, yeah, it should always be protocol that we send them back to you.
And I would love, please always do.
Yes.
But it's always nice to make it easier to contact.
Yeah, but I honestly don't feel like we get.
No, that's kind of weird, you don't think? I get him.
Well, it depends on.
They come directly to us.
Yeah, it depends on the topic too.
Sometimes they're junk email too.
Yeah. Okay, so,
We didn't take action.
yeah, we will take action. Any questions?
David's one.
Okay. Then I'll go ahead and see if there's any public comment.
We didn't have any public comment through email or in the audience, right?
Yeah. So I will go ahead and bring it back to the board, item number 5. Which is the wheels in motion for the grant association.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the wheels in motion proposed scenario on agenda item 5.
One second.
We have a motion.
Vice Chair Branning,
Aye.
Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Halbert,
Aye. Sorry I'm late, guys. I was participating from the waiting room for a few minutes, hearing this item, and just promoted to whatever panelist. I apologize. I had a feeling, so I'm a little numb. Very sorry.
Oh, yes, drool.
I'm not drooling, I promise you that.
Director Josie,
Aye.
Director Kip. Aye. Dr. Testa.
Aye.
And Chair Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, item number 6 is award of contract for the IT modernization and cloud transformation consulting services.
Yes, good afternoon, Mike Tobin, Director of Operations. So another resolution, item number 6, our staff is asking the board, recommending the board that to adopt resolution 02-2024, which is approved, LAVTA entering into an agreement with SDI Treasures for the provision of IT modernization and cloud transformation consulting. Quite a mouthful. I will tell you what that entails in a couple of slides. I have some slides though. Jennifer?
Yeah.
Up real quick. So I'll just discuss the RFP very briefly. Then there's a slide on the actual scope of the contract and then talk about costs, and that will be it. So it'll be a brief update. Let's go to slide number 2. There we go. So what is the scope of this agreement? Sorry, so scope is first. So there are actually 2 tasks for this contract. Task 1 is actually, this is really the cloud transformation piece of this project. So the first step of this project would actually be assisting and helping us to migrate all of our files, which are currently stored on on-prem servers, into the cloud. Historically, folks would have to either come on site to access files, or they would have to VPN in, so this would actually move into the cloud. Another part of task 1 is implementing a new identity management solution. In this case, it's going to be Microsoft Entra ID. And what this does is it helps with user authentication and authorization. It helps by implementing multi-factor authentication, which is where you log in and you have to provide a code in order to log in. And also creates a single pane login right now. So right now, our staff members have different accounts and passwords for logging in online, as opposed to here on the network. Now it'll be just one, so it reduces the amount of accounts and really just helps enhance cybersecurity in that regard. We will also be implementing a device management solution. In this case, the product is called Microsoft Intune. And what this really does is it helps set up and configure security policies on all of the organizational devices. So not only our PCs here on premise, but also any organization-owned laptops, that sort of thing. And then finally, helping us to transition all of our data backups to the cloud. So again, this helps with disaster recovery. Historically, all of our data has been backed up on contract service. Now it'll be again posted on the cloud. And really, the task 1, this came out of a series of recommendations from another consulting firm that we hired back in July, where they came in and assessed all of our IT infrastructure, cybersecurity, and made a series of recommendations. So now we're just hiring a separate firm to help implement all of those recommendations, really with the goal of enhancing cybersecurity. Then we have a separate task. So task 2 is actually an on-call agreement with the firm, the same firm, for providing IT support, so help desk service. For all of our Microsoft enterprise software, which is all of the aforementioned products there. And we'll be entering into a 3-year base term with 2 one-year agreement options. So that is the scope of the agreement. Next slide. So a little background on the actual procurement process. So this was all the result of RFP 2023-07. This was released back in September. Proposals were due on October 30th. We got a lot of interest from firms, but ultimately only 5 submitted proposals, which is still a pretty good number. We did put together an evaluation team. There was 4 LAVTA staff members as well as an IT staff member from the city of Dublin. And so this evaluation team all agreed that SDI presence was deemed the most responsive and responsible bidder. Next slide. Now the costs. So again, just breaking it down into the different tasks, and I tried to make this as simple as possible. So task 1, that is $44,602. So again, that's implementing all those Microsoft products. Then task 2, which is the on-call agreement. For the base term, which is again years 1 through 3, the total for those 3 years would be $417,807. And then the 2 one-year renewal options would be $299,666. The total not to exceed amount would be $762,075. Next slide. So just to read the recommendation again, staff recommends the board of directors approve resolution 02-2024 to 1, authorize the executive director to execute a contract with STI Presidency and then not to exceed amounts of $462,409 with base term by year 1 through 3, and 2, authorize the executive director to execute 2 one-year option terms in the not to exceed amount of $299,660, and it's in the best interest of all. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that we might have. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board?
So it sounds like they presented you with a menu of options. Did you carry down the things that you felt were most important for LAVTA? Did you go through that process, or was it just a very simple RFP?
So, and again, just to backtrack, back in July, we had a separate consulting firm. This was an entirely separate project. They came in and assessed all of our IT systems and infrastructure as they were, and they basically made a series of recommendations based on what they saw. And they said, you know, if you implement this, your system will be secure. I essentially took their recommendations, and that is what I used to create the scope for this RFP. So that's the way we did it. So the vendors that proposed didn't really recommend anything beyond what was in the scope.
And you felt comfortable with their recommendations?
Yes, and we actually had the IT director of the city of Dublin review the recommendations, and he essentially concurred with everything.
Yeah.
in there. So
I think
we
the city
got-
of Pleasanton also reviewed.
Yes,
the
they did.
recommendations.
So we got some outside city staff to actually take a look at this. They concurred with everything.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
This is all
Thanks for doing your extra homework.
It's all post cybersecurity incident. So we were reaching out to everyone that we could.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're very popular right now.
I'm sure.
Dublin had beefed up a lot, that's why I recommended, for them to go to Dublin, because, I mean, even the county is doing a really good job on trying to take everything to the next level, so.
They're doing it
We just wanna
as well.
be secure.
Expensive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
expensive.
Right, any questions from?
So we don't have any attendees from the public today. I didn't get anything through email, and there's no attendees.
Not seeing any other questions, I'll go ahead and ask if we have approval for awarding the contract for the IT.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
I'll second. Vice Chair Browning?
Aye.
Director Brown?
Hi.
Director Halbert?
Aye.
Director Josie?
Aye.
Director Kick? Aye. Director Testa?
Aye.
And Chair Hernandez?
Aye,
Motion passes.
and then we will go to our executive director's report.
Yes, and I will try to get through this quickly since we have closed session. Briefly, your ridership year over year on your Wheels bus system is still going up. Although the average weekday ridership for November was a little lower than October, and that's because we had Thanksgiving and the school routes were not in session. So that was not an alarming or unpredictable decrease in average weekday ridership. We are seeing some small increases in ridership on your commuter routes, your 20X, your 70X. And then the 3 was noted as having an uptick. That's your Pleasanton route connecting BART to Stone Ridge Mall. We are, seems like we're just gonna be service planning this whole year, Emerald High. So we are starting to think about the service plan for Emerald High. We have a meeting with the, I was gonna call him the principal of Emerald High this week, because I don't want us to lose an opportunity to try to influence bell schedules if we can. And so wish us luck. I will report back, but, you know, our service planner, Cyrus, is really trying to piece together the right service for Emerald High. He's received some preliminary enrollment information, and he's looking at our current modal split in some of the other schools, particularly in Pleasanton. Because Dublin High is somewhat of an anomaly with its very high ridership on public transit, which is great. But we think that Emerald High, given where it's located, given the density around it, will probably have a modal split more similar to Pleasanton, which is about 4%. I think at Dublin High, we see like 8 or 9%. So we're working through our service planning. We'll learn more about the bell times. We'll do what we can to try to keep them consistent. And then we will be bringing a mini service plan to the Projects and Services Committee later in the spring. It is time for our annual paratransit customer satisfaction survey. We've hired a firm to do a phone survey and an online survey. This is something we do every year. This will come back to Projects and Services in March and to the board in April. We are asking some new questions. We're asking about one-seat ride. Are they familiar with the one-seat ride program? We're also asking, are they using the mobile ticketing app to book their rides, just to understand, you know, how technologically savvy some of our riders are and what are they interested in. We had a successful holiday Step-A-Bus toy drive. This is our partnership with KKIQ. In your packet, page 43, you have some pictures of our John Madden Memorial Cruiser all decked out at the Stone Ridge Mall. That was exciting. We received over 30 bicycles, musical instruments, lots of children's toys. And I actually do not have the recipient of the toys. Do you remember who received the toys, David?
Yes, we delivered them to the fire station,
Okay.
Livermore Fire Station, Chief for Toys for Tots.
Okay, excellent. So that was great. Any questions so far?
I think Supervisor Halbert has a question.
More of a comment than anything. I believe that aside from any students who move into the district, many of the Emerald High students are already going to Dublin High, probably on the bus. I think we have a good opportunity just to survey them. So you might want to consider just asking them who plans to go to Emerald High and will you take the bus? Some of them will be so close to Emerald High, they'll probably not need a bus, and others likely will. The tech savvy students we have would probably, you'd get a good rate of response, I'm guessing, especially if you advertised it on the actual bus itself. Maybe scan this QR code and take the survey. You might even poll a couple of the students to help you spread the word and give them a Starbucks card or something. Anyway, it's just a thought. And I know that it will be a big change, but I think it'll be fairly predictable as well. So.
I love that.
You just missed Chrissy's comment. She was like, here's some caffeine.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway, that's my comment.
I do want to add really quick because, so the mayor's council, those kids are really savvy and I know that they have connections. There's an actual one person or two people that have access to be able to get the word out to the students.
This is like the interns for the rodeo, right?
Yes, but also there's some students, I think their leadership that actually can get the word out to the students.
Okay.
If I might,
So
surveying the kids that currently ride the bus is the wrong population.
yeah, you want to
only-
vote.
you want to survey the current Emerald High freshmen,
Mhm.
there's 350 of them.
Mhm.
That would give you the right population
Okay.
to survey, because you'll get a percentage of.
Of those students, yeah.
Those are the only kids on Dublin High's current campus that
Okay.
are gonna go to Emerald.
Okay,
All the other kids that will go to Emerald next year are currently at Fallon.
okay,
So you wanna survey the Fallon kids,
okay.
and Cottonwood Creek. Not the current kids that are riding the bus to Dublin, that's not the right population. So if we get the,
But what I'm saying is
no, I understand that,
that you could do, listen, there may be some kids that are actually from high school from Dublin High that also they may be going to Emerald High, I mean, you never know, so.
Mhm.
It's like, why just not put it out to all the kids, and then the kids that are gonna take it, if I got something that I was gonna be surveyed on, and I knew I was gonna utilize, I would just ignore it. You can always say you can ignore it if you're not going to take it.
I understand, but we'd be chasing a lot of kids that they'll all ignore it. They could just ask the Emerald High, English class to survey all their students, they would absolutely do it for us. And that way we would get all of the current Emerald High kids to take the survey, because it will only be a very short.
Is it
survey.
starting out as freshmen, Jean? Just freshman,
Yes.
sophomore? Okay,
Yes.
Yeah,
So this.
interesting.
This year's freshmen will be next year's sophomores at Emerald, and then there will be a whole new incoming
Yeah.
freshman class. None of the current sophomores, juniors, seniors at Dublin High will be transferring to Emerald, and
Okay,
except for this very small amount of current Dublin High freshmen that decide they want to go there.
and do
as sophomores.
students have email addresses?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Started.
Yeah, and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, yeah.
Yes, but if we need to survey the Emerald High students, they would absolutely cooperate with that.
Okay, I think surveying is such a great idea, it was not on my radar. And we can definitely.
There's access to them, that's
Yeah.
what I'm just trying to say is there's access, and you're able to be able to do that.
Thank you thank you all.
Okay.
Anything
So on the annual satisfaction survey,
Yeah.
right? If I remember correctly, you do not, for that, survey the school tripper students, right?
So this survey is for paratransit customers. So we separate our fixed route and paratransit. So this one's just for para, and there shouldn't be any school riders on our paratransit.
Okay.
Then later in the spring, we'll do our fixed route survey. And that is where we will include students and local. And this year, we will blend the results and present them to the board at once, rather than it came a little piecemeal this last year. We presented the local routes first, and then we came back and shared a high level overview of the school tripper, customer service results. So that will come to you in the fall.
Okay.
For fixed route.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on from services to finance and admin, there's a lot going on regionally. I find myself spending a lot of time talking about MTC and working with my lovely colleagues in the East Bay. So the first effort I just want to make you all aware of is we are working on a regional measure. So I was asked to participate in a regional measure working group. It's a behemoth of a group with 35 people running the gamut of interests, advocates, transit operators, transportation officials. And we're all talking about what would it take to generate potentially up to $1 to $2 billion a year in transportation funding for the region. And so this is a work in progress, but there are some key activities this month. So MTC will be seeking enabling legislation so that they can put on the ballot a measure to generate this money. And so we're paying very close attention to what our commissioners are saying. There's been a lot of talk about consolidation. This is not new necessarily to us. Some of you may recall the 2007 Transit Sustainability Report. Scott Haggerty was here at the time. And we have 27 operators in the Bay Area. And there's 27 of us for a reason. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. And so I think there's a belief that we are fragmented. There's a belief that we do not put the customer first. There's a belief that if we were all maybe better coordinated at the MTC level, we would improve ridership. And so we're just paying attention as staff to consolidation versus coordination, because consolidation would double your costs with half your service. If we were to consolidate with AC Transit, for example, and I'm not picking on AC, just they are the one operator in our county besides us. The MTC Ledge Committee is meeting this week. They will be approving some language that will go in front of the commission, I believe on the 24th. So we're just watching this language. I had a meeting with Andy Premier, the head of MTC, last week, along with my colleagues from around the East Bay. And he's still interested in looking at consolidation, whereas the commissioners kind of had an opposite opinion. So we're watching this. They are keeping all venues open for a tax, payroll, parcel, income, sales tax, all of those are on the table, and they all have varying degrees of support or opposition. Let me think what else is notable. Oh, it's expected that Senator Wiener from San Francisco will be carrying this bill. So we are going to be onboarding a lobbyist. We're forming an East Bay coalition just to make sure we are not missing anything at the state level. Things move very fast. We don't have a commissioner on MTC like we did years ago, directly from the LAVTA board. And so, you know, I'm trying to get connected as best I can, but I think this is something we want to get in front of and not behind, because I don't know what problem consolidation will solve for LAVTA. I see Supervisor Hubbard.
No, I think I just didn't take my hand down.
Oh, okay.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is sales tax even an option? Aren't some of the counties maxed out?
This would be
You can get it increased, so they might have to do that.
10% seems pretty darn high. I would say.
So, yeah, they'd have to get legislation to
Yeah,
get it increased
exactly.
and then pass.
And then pass it super majority. But there's also ACA 1, which I think lowers the voter threshold for certain. So there's, you know, and there's a housing measure that will likely be coming this year. And so I don't know how this will all play out.
Housing measure is coming.
Yeah, is it? Yeah. So there's a lot, you know, we're asking people to tax themselves a lot. So, I will keep you all very.
This has been in progress for years now.
Oh.
I mean, Bay Area,
Yeah.
Bay Area Council, they've been looking at it.
Yeah.
But just trying to find the right time and put together the right mix.
Yeah.
It's sort of hitting at the same time as this, consolidation issue.
Yes.
And it's gonna be interesting politically.
And on that note, SB 397, Wahab, she's from Hayward, introduced, it was a gut and amend measure to consolidate the 27 Bay areas into one, the 27 Bay Area transit operators into one. So we're all a little perplexed at this. This kind of came out of left field. But I believe Senator Wahab was presenting to a subgroup of the large operator general managers today. I have my small operator GM meeting tomorrow, so I'll hear more. But this, given all the work, the years of work just spent on creating a regional transit network manager and all the blue ribbon initiatives and all the work we're already doing, this legislation should be monitored closely. I will share that CTA, California Transit Association's Ledge Committee, voted to oppose this at their meeting last week. You will have your 2024 legislative package for your approval here at the end of the committee, at the end of this month to the board in February. And so after that, we can take a position or stay neutral. I think MTC is staying neutral at this time.
Well, because MTC would benefit.
It might take power away, but we're unsure. So this would require CalSTA, the state transportation agency, to create a plan. All I ask for is no more meetings. There's a lot of meetings, so. And then just lastly, circling the wagon here on some procurements. We've got the auditing services contract that's getting released, on-call marketing, as I mentioned before, and then I'm working on our coalition lobbyists and grant writing services. It's likely we may procure 2 different sets of lobbyists, one just to help us with our coalition work, one to really support us with grant writing as we pursue all state and federal grants to build Atlantis whatnot.
And that's gonna be grant joint.
Yes, it will be, the coalition will be a joint procurement with County Connection, Tri-Delta Transit, East, West Contra Costa and us. And, you know, it's not a relatively high expense. We're not anticipating the board would even need to take action on that.
The coalition coming together with all the agencies and not just LAVTA by itself.
Correct.
On certain items.
Yes, on certain items that where we have overlap, and then procuring our own lobbyists for our own, federal and as well as grant writing. And then in your packet, you have your statistics. I've noted the ridership, has dipped a little for weekday. Your on-time performance has gone a little up. This tends to happen. The seasonality, riders go down, traffic gets better, OTP goes up a little. I think your paratransit ridership remains, strong, and your Go Tri Valley thankfully took a little dip in November. That's the one thing I look to every month, and, the Projects and Services Committee will consider changes to that program at the end of January, but brought to the board in February. And then you have a preview of your items. We have a lot of stuff coming up. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, any questions? Oh, actually, a couple of comments.
So I start to question the idea of doing annual surveys of writers. Is that a policy that's required for some of your grants?
No. It is required for, certain routes, I think our ACE, funded route 354. I think we might do some survey for the 30R. All right, but no, this is something, it has just been a past practice for a lot.
Yeah, paratransit, well, maybe that could come up as a discussion about annual, can it be semi or every other year? Because it's quite expensive,
Yeah.
and if you see some consistent numbers, it's not like they're jumping around. Then you should be pretty sure they're gonna be similar unless you have an event like a COVID happen. I'm just tossing that out as something to discuss, so I know it's not really on the agenda. And then just as another comment, I'm very concerned, and I know that it's not a vote tonight, but a joining of all transits for the entire Bay Area, when every community is so unique and different. And we're very different in San Francisco, we're very different than even in AC Transit in the Port of Oakland, for example. And I wouldn't want, hey, we're gonna put more resources here because you have more riders, and then the outlying areas of smaller populations like ours loses its unique services that we have. Even the unique process that we have where we're working with County Connection on that one seat ride for paratransit, that's unique to our area, and it's because we're smaller and we didn't have to get MTC's approval. We had the ability to have something unique like that is now is being looked at on a larger scale for other areas. Even our autonomous vehicle, autonomous vehicle, because we're small, we're unique, and we were able to try that out with the grant and see how it worked for our community. And then I think everybody benefits from that, but to do it where you have to compete.
I know,
for who's gonna try.
I don't want to get too far in discussion because we don't have
Right.
on the agenda.
This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion about how we're unique and how,
I think we'll have plenty of time
Yeah.
to talk about it.
okay, but let me just finish if I may. I'd like to see this continue, and I'm just working my, I want to know a lot more before. And obviously we'll have that opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah, this is a concerning one for us.
And then the last comment question is lobbyist grant writing, you feel it's better to go out than to hire within, is that right?
Yeah, I do. I believe that it's right. A new FTE here would be enormously expensive. I think there are great firms out there with proven track records for winning these. And Jennifer Yeamans, who's not here today, is doing her homework. We are asking for what grants have you won? How much? And so.
And there's a lot of stuff that we're missing out on.
Yeah.
Especially for, this is such a large purchase.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
For Atlantis, yeah.
Well, we've been talking about Atlantis since I came on and we haven't done anything, so I think it's time.
Yeah. And I think we're in a good position. I think there are some stars that may be aligning for us. This is this cycle. I'm hopeful. I'm an eternal optimist, but I think we will be better positioned this year.
Well, we've come a long way because now we have a shovel-ready plan.
Yeah, yeah.
We finalized the plan, and we've done that over the last
Yeah.
few years, so, all right, look forward to, if you say you're better going out, I support that. All right, thank you.
A plan's a plan, but a plan's only a plan until you get them.
Okay.
Money is what we're lacking.
And our grant writer is still at reduced hours, you know, so, and there's just a
lot
lot
of
more going on, yeah, so we just, I think it's right.
If you've done the numbers, I'm comfortable with it. All right, thank you.
Okay, so not seeing any other questions, we'll go ahead and adjourn into closed session at 4:44.
Okay, nice big
I
text.
have slides.
We have a separate link for closed session, correct?
Yeah, I texted it to you.
Thank you.
We have the,
All right, so we will reconvene our meeting, at 5:33. And, we were in closed session and, the board, came to the consensus that we would give you a 6% raise. Yeah, okay. Anything else, Michael?
And that would, result in an annual salary of $233,200, a monthly salary of $19,433. And we will, just one other point, we're gonna approve an amendment to her employment contract with those numbers in it, but what our practice has been, we have a 3-year contract, and every year we push it ahead 1 year. So this would be amending the contract to add a year, which is basically the 3-year period you started her out at. As it was, we discussed, there are certainly, she can leave and we can terminate. It's not as though we're locked in 50 years, but it is sort of a vote of confidence. And, just assurance that that's sort of our outlook. So, I would ask that the board would approve First Amendment to the employment contract with those two terms, the dollar amount that I mentioned and the addition of 1 year to the term.
Okay. Starting to, just because.
I'll move 6% raise, 233,200 annually, 19,433 monthly with the amendments to the contract as mentioned.
Second. All right, so we no longer have,
Yeah, David is
so
no longer.
I will just go ahead and all in favor,
Oh.
You said, all in favor of the new contract, as that has been, will be amended, have the 6% raise.
Aye.
Clarification, is that retroactive to her anniversary date?
Yes.
It should be.
Sorry,
Usually-
needs to know. That's a good
Yeah,
good
for the year,
question.
yeah. Well, it's for the year, so it's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we would go ahead and, consideration of amendment to employee general has been, and then so any matters initiated by the board. Okay, not seeing any, we will go ahead and our next meeting will be on February 5th, 2024, and we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Okay. So we wanted to get
Back for sure.
Sorry, Mom.
What's that?